What's going on is Fists, bringing it straight from R from you, because that's what I do, bringing you the news like I always do, in-depth review. I like to call it forecasting, game casting, whatever you want to call it. I felt like after watching TCM and Indy and listening to everybody talk about Advanced Warfare, this is what this video is about. It's basically, giving my opinionated forecast on Advanced War and what I think about the game and their decisions and some of the, my personal feelings of the direction that they were taking. I really don't agree with them. And I want to point out a lot of things about this game. First of all, we all know it is not Call of Duty. Let's just get that out of the way. So based on that premise alone, anything that I am talking about right now, and you guys would watch, if you are not a Call of Duty fan and you're watching this video and you're playing this game for the very first time and you're saying, well, it's not Call of Duty, so I don't care what you have to say after this point, so I'm just turning the video off. That's fine. I can accept that premise, and I can accept you saying, well, that's what it is, and that's it. But unfortunately, being a Call of Duty fanatic, fan, short for fan, the Call of Duty name is on the game. So based on that alone, I have to surmise and say that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is Call of Duty for the sake of the name and the video and the evolution of the game. So I can't see how I can see how people say it's this and then split it off and say it's not, and there's just like this argument where the game just splits in two and there's two different factions now talking about Call of Duty, and it's kind of like two different alternate universes for the game. I don't know, maybe that's really strange and you're not getting it, it's over your head. I understand. I get it. But, so, after seeing Gamescom, and it is called Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. They did throw that name on there. So, with that being said, and that title is on that name of that game, then I have to say, based on the way the game is now, with the Call of Duty title, being a fanatic of Call of Duty fan, I have to say these things. This is my forecast on the game. So specifically talking to people on Twitter, I know I'm finally getting to the point, but I wanted I know a lot of people, they watch these videos and it's not the whole picture. And you're not sitting here with me and you can't debate instantaneously. So it's only you're getting a certain view of what I'm saying. I'm trying to make it so you understand it. I know it's long, but I'm getting to the point. Just relax. So, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, being a fanatic, it's not Call of Duty. First off, as a fan, I'm disappointed. As a fan, I'm disappointed because it's not a classic first-person shooter of Call of Duty. So therefore, based on that premise alone, and it's been a trend that's been going on since Black Ops, Black Ops 1? It's been a downward spiral in the amount of people that play the game. And, it just goes back to the old saying, if the Big Mac #1 combo has always been the Big Mac #1 combo and it's always worked for McDonald's, don't change it. Yeah, people are going to come along and they're going to say, oh yeah, the game is stale, it's boring, blah, blah, blah. But they never ever in the history of the Call of Duty community, I think it's only happened once from Call of Duty 4 to Modern Warfare 2, where they listened to about 80% of what the community asked to have in the game. After that point, it's been specifically a developers leading each studio their endeavor, and it has no regards of what the community wants. So that's where it's gone. It's like our studio is going to do this. Look at us, blah, blah, blah. We're so badass, and it's kind of annoying because we're the ones that are paying the bills and we want to see this specific type of game because we love this controller layout and we love the way the game works and we just want a classic military first-person shooter. And anybody says anything different, they're lying to themselves. You can look at the statistics of games like Insurgency, a Kickstarter game that came from nothing, that has 10,000 concurrent users online, that is it's more on the side of a Rainbow Six game where if you get grazed by a bullet, you get killed because it's a more realistic game. But the fact that people are yearning and earning for a basic military shooter that is organic and realistic and arcadey and everybody can pick up and play. They want that game. So you're not getting that. So being a fan, I think we are all in this whole community that are disappointed in that fact. So that's the first thing. So that just based on the fact that it's not going to be a classic Call of Duty game, you could just lose that huge portion of players. And somebody can say, well, you're going to gain this huge portion of players. I don't agree with that, and I'm going to get into that right now. I'm going to get into it in a minute. But the other thing before I go into it that is disenfranchising the Call of Duty fans from this series or from this title is they added in the turbo boost, the turbo jump, the turbo slide, turbo boost, turbo slide, turbo evade, and so what has happened is that there's no need for lanes anymore. So you used to have lanes where in a classic military first-person shooter like Call of Duty, it was a flat linear lanes. You'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes. So when you have people who've played Call of Duty for 9 years and you started with 2 or 3 lanes and you went out to 4 or 5 lanes and people, that's what they expect and they're getting used to it, and then you change the game to a verticality type game where everything is up and down because you have to make that game because it has turbo boost and boost this way and boost that way. I mean, think about just that. Just think about that aspect alone. When I watched that at Gamescom, I said to myself, you are totally alienating everybody who, in their mind, played the game this way. And then when we change it to, instead of being a flat linear game, to a vertical game, that's everybody. If people who pick up this game that are new to Call of Duty that can't understand that, they're just going to quit within the first 3 days. They're not going to play this game anymore. They just won't play this game. I mean, I'm at that point where I'm not going to run to Battlefield just because it's the alternative. It's a terrible alternative. I don't want to play that game, so I'm not going to play that game. I'd rather wait, and I think that speaks volumes. It's almost same parallel as to the people who own the iPhone 4S or the iPhone 4. They would just rather wait until the next best phone in that series came out, which would be the iPhone 6. So I think a lot of fans would be like that, when Call of Duty comes out, Advanced Warfare. They're not going to jump on some other game, nor are they going to play this game for that simple reason alone. You completely alienated, disenfranchised everybody from the process of building up 9 years of starting with 2 lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 5 lanes, and then you just go to a straight up vertical game with turbo boosting. I mean, that alone is a huge factor. And who wants to learn a game, especially Call of Duty fans who bought this game to expect it to play a certain way, and then it's not going to play that way, and then they're just going to leave. I mean, I don't know where the brainstorming was in this. And here is the most significant part of this whole thing. Now, if you want to turbo jump or turbo super jump or something like that, you gotta hold the A button down. Do you think people who play regularly, that don't use the claw or don't have a Scuff 1 with paddles, do you think that when this game is made for $60 plus, that everybody is going to go out and buy a $100 plus Scuff 1 controller? I mean, I'm not knocking Scuff 1 controllers. They're great controllers. They've always been great to me. They got A1 satisfaction. I think they have great craftsmanship. But and I'm going to get into more of this. So now you have vertical, you have vertical up and down, you're going vertical. You have to learn new boosting. It's not a Call of Duty classic military first-person shooter. Then, now, because if you are not using the claw, this is the claw. If you don't know what the claw is, this is the way people use. This is like Scumpy, other players, they use the claw. They really don't need the paddles. The paddles were made for people who play regular, and they use this finger on the bottom to do the jumps. They scuff jump. That's what they call it. I mean, there's other people that there's other controllers out there, but do you get the idea, the point what I'm trying to make here? If you're boosting and you jump this way and you go this way and you jump this way and you're going this way, how do you think you're going to be able to do that if you don't have a $100 plus controller in the new advanced Call of Duty Warfare game? So not only are you going to have to buy an Xbox One or a PS4, but you're going to have to buy a controller, or you're going to have to learn to use the claw. So think about that. You're going to have to buy a brand new console, a brand new controller that you have to have paddles to compete with other players, because other people out there have these controllers. This game, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, isn't made for just somebody picking up and buying it. This game is becoming a specialized, tribal, elite game. That means if you don't have all the accessories, they're basically pricing themselves a Call of Duty known franchise. I'm wondering, what were they thinking when they're sitting in brainstorming this game? Like, don't you know the peripherals that you're going to have to make this game work properly? You're not going to be able to jump and then press this button and just be a regular player and hit the A button, hold it down, and do all this. You can't do it. It's impossible. You either have to have the claw or you have to have the paddles. In order to have the paddles, you got to have some type of aftermarket controller. Scuff, Battle Beaver, whatever. You have to have one of these controllers, PS4, Xbox One, or you are irrelevant. There's no point in even getting a game. You are going to get destroyed. So let's take this in perspective. Just on basics, $60 for the game, $100 plus for the controller. That's already $160. That's not including microtransactions. That's not including DLC. That's not including Day One Prestige Edition. Think about that. Now let's get on to the next thing. So now you have the controller. Now you are forced to buy an aftermarket controller, because in order to compete, you just can't hit the analog button and run and be competitive in this game. You have to be able to boost. So what I'm saying is, you have to be able to boost and move left, right, up or down, and shoot at the same time. Nobody with a regular controller is going to be able to do both at the same time unless they know how to use the claw. So that already puts you, any of you regular Call of Duty players, that already puts you out. You have to buy an aftermarket controller or you're irrelevant. So now your $60 game has just become a $170 plus game. This is probably $120, $117, I don't even know. These controllers are expensive. They're not cheap. So you can look at it that way. Just on the basic game and the scuff controller or the aftermarket controller, that's $170, $180 for one game. Now let's get into the rest of this, because this is really important. So now you you're playing game Call of Duty. You got your aftermarket controller. Now, because this game does not have dead silence in it, guess what? Anybody who has an aftermarket headset, Astro A50, you know what Astro A50s are? $225. $225. $170 and $225. What is that? Like $395. Basic. $395 basic. So, like, when you're making this game and you're at Activision and you're saying, let me see who I'm going to make this game for. I mean, literally, do you not understand who they are making this game for? That they literally, I don't even think that Eric Heisberg or whatever his name, the CEO, even understands what's going on. That, like, literally they are being tricked into a portion of the community that doesn't even, they can't even keep their game afloat. How are you supposed to support 3 studios that operate 40 hours a week? That's not a minimum. And I know for a fact that there's at least 450 employees out of the 3 studios because somebody had quoted it on accident. So you're talking about 450 employees that salary ranges, I don't even know where. How do you think they could support that when they are literally making this game for about 1,000 people? Astro Headset 225, aftermarket controller that you need because there's boost in the game. You cannot play this game without moving left, right, and shooting at the same time. Or you're just going to get pissed off and quit. So which is it? This game is, you just can't buy this game and play it. See, the essence of Call of Duty is that it was a classic, Call of Duty 4, a classic military first-person shooter that anybody could pick up, that anybody could play with a basic controller. That's why there was 2-3 million people on at one time, because they were all on the same level playing field. That ain't happening. You basically priced yourself right off this game. And let's not forget, okay, you got the headphones. There's dead silence in the game. There's no dead silence in the game anymore. And even if they did put dead silence in the game, let's say they added it on now, you have to have headsets regardless. Because when I will listen to the game, the footsteps are like click clack, click clack, click clack, click clack. I mean, literally, you could just sit here if you're a total jerk off and somebody had all this stuff, and they could just be sitting in the corner and listening for footsteps and having and all their little, turrets and all their shit, and because they don't understand or grasp the concept of turbo boosting around, because they have a headset, that advantage over you, they can sit there and just listen to people in the corner and be like, I'm going to wait for you. Oh, I hear him on my headset. I'm going to kill you. See, everybody don't know this about this game. And so now, let's not forget. Okay, now let's get into the fact that you have to, the people who have a certain type of monitor. Now, there's a certain type of monitor and controller. When you have a wired controller, there's a millisecond response time, meaning that if your controller is wired to your console, that means you'll have like a 0.1 faster response time. So when somebody shoots at you that just has like a shitty ass battery in there and not like connected, or you're gonna get the shot off before them. And the fact that there's a difference in screens now, or monitors. So a lot of people now have monitors that have a 2 millisecond response time. That means the response from your controller to your Xbox or PS4 to the screen that you're playing on. Now, if you don't own one of those screens, you're at a disadvantage. That's a disadvantage of getting sniped in the game. So now you couple this, and the monitor. You're looking at like 350, what is that? I think it was a 225, 170, 390. A monitor's about 200. That's $590 to at least be on the same level playing field as the majority of the people who are going to purchase this game. How is that fair to the rest of the community? How is this game supposed to grow? How are you supposed to keep the people who pick this game up for the very first time, who don't understand all of this that's going on with this game? They're going to break this game the first day they get it and be like, this game sucks. Like literally, who is over there at Activision, Call of Duty, and CEOs? Don't they get it? Don't you understand? You're completely alienating everybody who buys your game. And then the fact that that's just basic. That's not even DLC. And add another $60 on it. That's like $620. Microtransactions. I mean, you're getting up to the point where they're squeezing blood out of the total hardcore group of people who their whole vision is. They're totally ripping off people, in my opinion, between 11 and 13 years old who think they're going to be MLG Pro. You got to have all this stuff. And the parents are probably going, what the hell is going on with my kid? I mean, I know I talked to a guy the other day, a friend from high school. He's like, yeah, my son, he's like 12 years old. He bought like $30 and this and that and, you know, a bunch of other shit. I mean, his whole vision, I mean, they are totally being brainwashed. And the whole point of me making this video is this. I look at Call of Duty, and it got a great premise. And it's great. Everybody loves, here's what everybody loves. Everybody loves a basic military first-person arcade shooter that everybody could play. Not all this shit that you have to, like, fuck, you're going to have to put yourself in a capsule next. Or you're going to have to put electrodes in your brain to play this game. I mean, they just basically just alienated themselves from everybody with this version that's going to come out. I don't even know if I'm going to buy Advanced Warfare, to be honest with you. I'm about 70-30 not going to buy this game. Because it's not Call of Duty. I'm not excited about it. Yeah, it's got great graphics. It's supposed to have great graphics. I mean, you look at Ed Boon. I made a video, I think it was like in 2007 and 2006, when he was at Midway. And he had did some videos like, he was like, and you stuttering and shit, and he made the worst Mortal Kombat. This is what I'm talking about, video game history, and why history is important, and why history repeats itself no matter where it's at. And I looked at Ed Boon, and he made this video, and it was the first one where they had Batman, and it was like, it was really terrible. And that's when, right after that game came out, Midway went bankrupt. And I made a video. I was pissed because I was a Mortal Kombat fan. And I was like, damn, Ed Boon, why don't you just make Mortal Kombat 2 with Gears of War 3D backgrounds and that's it. And now look at it. MK10X or MKX coming out is a magnificent masterpiece. And I'm not saying that I'm the one that like sparked that from him. Maybe I did. I don't know. Because after that he did Injustice and all these great visions that he had. Like, listen, Capcom's been doing it for 20 years. They've done it right. A cartoon game. A 2D animation video game. Been successful for years. Activision has 3 magnificent studios trying to do 3 different things every single time. Bedazzling me. Like, they just want you to buy the wow factor. And guess what? It keeps, the people who keep playing your game, look at the total online concurrent players. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? No one's playing your game. Now, do you want to be that person that spends $690 and wind up fighting a small group of players all the time and no new players? And I tell you, it's going to get terrible. Right after the first map pack, right around the end of January, you're going to be frustrated. Because, especially if you're the person who doesn't have time to play this game, you're seriously going to be frustrated. Anyways, these are all my opinions, and thank God for freedom of speech and having your own opinions and being able to post these type of videos so people could see the truth about everything. You know, this is all based on my experience of being on here forever and playing Call of Duty forever. Now, I'm not saying I would never come back to Call of Duty. You know, I'm predicting that, you know, David Vonderhaar, there's only one other direction he can go, and that is like back to World War II. I mean, the whole market is full of space games. It's ridiculous. I mean, you got Halo 2 coming out, putting all together the Halo games and coming out with a classic edition. I think I did a video and I was like, any developer out there listening, all you had to do at Call of Duty was make HD Call of Duty and do it for the summertime. And it was like maybe somebody at Microsoft watched my video because they did it. And now there's this big resurgence. And where is Advanced Warfare? Where does it fit in? I mean, Advanced Call of Duty was sitting pretty. They basically made Battlefield quit. Like, Battlefield did not make a Battlefield game this year. They just gave up. They made them quit. They were sitting in the best position you could possibly sit. No one was challenging them in a classic military first-person shooter. What do? They jump right in between their own company, Bungie, Destiny, Activision, and a Halo re-release, and a Halo New 5 coming out a year later on Christmas, whatever. Where does that leave you? You totally alienate from the total population of the Call of Duty community. Then you make this game peripheral, expensively over the top to play, so nobody can afford to play this game and be relevant. You can't be relevant. You can't sit there and play this game and sit on your couch back from the TV and go, hey, I'm going to play this game, and you wonder why you're getting slapped around like a ping pong ball. It's not going to happen. I mean, literally, they just put themselves. It was like, listen, we're going to just go ahead and make Call of Duty and take ourselves right out of the race. If Battlefield had just made a decent military game like Battlefield 2 Modern Combat HD, they could have took back their market. Now it's like, it's wide open. For all intents and purposes, even though Insurgency is more towards a hardcore shooter, more of like, a strategic shooter, their game hasn't come out for console. And at the same time, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat was a hardcore shooter on PC before it came to console and was watered down to be a nice social arcade game. If Insurgency comes out and makes a social, easy arcade shooter with the organic sound and realism of their game, they would literally take the baton from Activision and it would leave them out there. There's nothing they can do to take it back. Once you are off the horse, you're off your horse. That's it. You're done. So anyways, those are all my opinions on the game. That's my forecast. I believe that, this game is going to be next to or less than Ghost in the effect of numbers. I think once people realize the amount of time and peripherals they have to put into this game and buying a new console and all this other stuff, and how could you gauge this game and say it's going to be anything different in between Titanfall and Ghost that's already been released on Xbox One when the price has rarely changed within the game? And there's no incentive, there's no urgency, there's nothing there that says that this game is going to do better than the two games that have already been out there. There's a measuring stick. I mean, a lot of people are already saying this game looks like Titanfall. Look where Titanfall is. If that's what they're saying, this is where this game is going to be on the line of measuring. It doesn't matter if it's a Call of Duty game. If it is a Call of Duty game, and that's the way people are going to treat it, it's going to wind up with concurrent users as the same as what Ghost and on Xbox and the PS4. I mean, if anything, it's a novelty. And I highly think that, and I'm going to put my last 2 cents on Destiny, since I'm covering the subject. I mean, I think it's really moronic that Destiny is releasing 2 months, be September, August, October, November, essentially 2 months before Advanced Warfare. I mean, two Halo games, and then you have Microsoft. Like, Microsoft sitting there licking their chops like, look at these dumbasses. Microsoft has more money than you, more marketing. They have the whole catalog. I mean, why would I play anything else? Why would I just play Halo? Why would I play Destiny? Why would I play Advanced Warfare? And why would I play Titanfall when I can play Microsoft's Halo 5 and the whole classics? Why would I do that? They're all the same game. Anyways, you did it to yourself. You got no one to blame. If you want to save yourself, I would highly suggest that you rush into the brainstorming room right now. And if you want to retain the community that you've built up for 9 years, I would hurry my ass up and I would do Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty 4, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, an HD remix, Modern Warfare 3, HD remix, all the maps, all the guns, and just stick it in an HD remix and patch it up. Hold those people there and let them play that game over the summer and maybe into the next year or whatever it turns into. Maybe it'll blossom into something huger than that. and just hold it there until you can decide that, okay, we are a military first-person shooter. Let's go back there immediately. Because that, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen. It might happen for the first month, and then people are going to realize it's a huge mistake. Anyways, those are all my opinions. Until next time, it's your boy Fitz. Peace. I'm out.